Hello everybody and welcome back to Card Games That Don't Suck, and I've been looking forward to this episode for a while because today we're going to be reviewing a gambling game. Bourré is not just a cool gambling game though, it is actually popular in the NBA. Oh yeah, all you suckers that have been playing poker thinking that poker's all there is. Now I'm going to tell you about Bourré, a game that is baller, played by ballers, and that's why I'm using my most baller deck. Look, this deck has nice pictures of birds in. What could be cooler than that? So yeah, very, very happy with this deck. Huge thanks to the person who bought it for me as a gift. You know who you are. So, Bourré is a trick-taking game. If you don't know what trick-taking is, don't worry about it. The most important thing is that you're going to have a deck of cards with the jokers removed. You're going to have some chips, which you and your friends will have ascribed value to. Even if that value is 0, it can still be fun just moving chips around. They're a hell of a nice thing to touch. You can play with matchsticks, I don't mind. The card game police are not going to catch you. Now, you're going to take turns being the dealer. Now, to begin with, every player, and we've got a 3-player game set up here, will ante 1 chip, okay, of a value that you decide before the game begins. Now, we've got Bourré set up for 3 players here, but Bourré is actually best with 5, 6, even 7, 8 players. It's really a game that benefits from having a big table of you, and that's how I was first introduced to it. So, all players who ante in a particular round are going to receive a hand of 5 cards for that, but the dealer will make sure that their final card is actually face up. So everybody knows that the dealer has this card. More importantly, it's the trump suit. What's a trump suit? Don't worry about it, I'm going to explain it to you later. Now, so once you've dealt out your cards like that, players will all look at their hand of cards and decide whether they are in or out for the round, okay? It's kind of like poker. If you decide you're in, you might have a chance of winning the pot. If you're out, then you're definitely not going to lose any more money, which in Bourré, oh my God, it's a real thing. Be extremely careful. Okay, so once you've got and looked at your cards and everyone knows what the trump suit is, players will then decide if they're in or out, starting with the player to the dealer's left. So this imaginary player that Ben and I have got here, let's say they decide that they are in, okay? They're going to be in. And in deciding you're in, you can also pick between 0 and 5 of your cards to throw away, and the dealer will give you new ones. So let's say our player here decides to throw away 2 cards and the dealer will give them 2 more. Then Ben, are you in or out?
I'm in.
Okay, great. So would you like, how many cards?
I'll have 3 cards,
3
please.
cards, there you go.
Thank you so much.
The magic of Bourré is already beginning. Then as the dealer, let's say I'm in as well and I decide to keep my hand. That's fine, whatever. If a player is out, they will instead just put their cards down and move their chair back, whatever they want to do. They're no longer involved in this round, but their ante is lost forever, like tears in rain. But for the sake of our example, let's say everybody is in. Okay, what happens next is a trick-taking game, which is a nightmare to explain, but we're going to get through this together. You and me, Ben, and our imaginary player. So, what trick-taking is players are going to take turns playing cards into a trick. Now, the first trick will be led by the person to the dealer's left, and all that really means is that they play the first card. So let's say they play a 6 of hearts. Now, in a trick-taking game, all the other players are going to play a card from their hand into that trick, like so. Going round in a clockwise circle. And then you look and see who won based on the cards played. And whoever won will take all those cards and put them to one side, having won that trick. Now, the goal in Bourré is to win more tricks than anybody else at the table. But we'll get to what happens at the end of a round later. First off, I just want to teach you how tricks are won. So, the first card played into a trick is known as the lead suit. Okay, so this player here led with a 6 of hearts, which means the lead suit is hearts. Now, remember earlier we had that trump suit of clubs? Who wins a trick works like this. If any player played a card of the trump suit, the highest trump card wins. If nobody played a card of the trump suit, then the highest card of the lead suit wins. So, in an example like this, the 6 of hearts led, and then the other players had a 4 of hearts and a 6 of spades. So we don't have any trumps. The highest card of the lead suit, which is hearts, is the 6 of hearts, so this player will win the trick. But in this next example, if we're sticking with the idea that clubs are our lead suit, this person played a 6 of hearts, then a 4 of hearts, but this person played a trump, which means this is the highest trump, the 3 of clubs, which means this player takes it. However, Bourré has some very, very important restrictions onto what cards you can play and when. So let's say this first player to the dealer's left leads the first trick with a 7 of hearts. Now, Ben, and in fact all players around the circle, if they have that suit in their hand, so a heart, must play a heart. Do you have a heart?
I have no hearts.
Okay, great. What that means is that if Ben has a trump, which in our example is clubs, they must play a trump. So Ben would have to play that club. Whereas in my hand, oh god, I've got so many fake hands here. I also, annoyingly, I have a heart, so I must play my heart. There is, however, a third rule, which is that if, when playing your card will be the card that is currently winning the trick. You must do that. So let's give you another example. Let's say this player led the trick with a 7 of hearts. Ben here does have a heart in hand, so he's going to play that. And then let's look at my hand. I have hearts, which means I have to play hearts, but according to the rules of Bourré, I must play a card that means I will be temporarily winning the trick if possible. So the fact that I have this 10 of hearts, which would mean I'm currently winning the trick, means I can't play the 4 or the 6. I instead must play the 10. But let's imagine that Ben didn't play this 2, but instead didn't have a heart in his hand, and so instead played a trump. Now, when I put my hand out, I still have hearts, which means I have to follow the lead suit. But the fact that Ben has played a trump means I can no longer win this, because whichever heart I play, the trump will still win. So that means I cannot play a card which is currently winning the trick, which means now I can play any of these hearts I want, which means, of course, I'm going to play the garbage 4 and keep the high ones for later. Now, don't worry if all of this sounds quite confusing. After a couple of rounds of Bourré, players will start finding their feet with this stuff and it'll all become a lot easier. But with that basic stuff about trick taking in mind, how that'll work is players will just continue to play cards, win tricks. Whoever takes a trick, by the way, will lead the next one. So in taking those 3 cards, Ben will choose a card, then I'll play a card, then so on until all 5 tricks are taken. And this is where Bourré gets absolutely amazing. I almost swore there. Let me star wipe to a hypothetical end of the round.
Star.
So out of our 3 hypothetical players in this round, I won a trick, this player won a trick, and Ben won 3. This is super simple. Ben is going to get the whole pot. Congratulations, Ben. And we're going to reset the game and go again for another round. However, oh my goodness, Bourré has some secrets up its sleeve. Let's imagine that instead of winning 3, Ben won 2 tricks there, and this player won 2. That in Bourré is a split pot, but it doesn't mean you split the pot. Rather, all it means is the pot stays the same, and these 2 players, all they earn is the right to not pay an ante next round. It is the smallest, most petty bonus that actually, it's almost more annoying than if you'd won nothing at all. However, things can get a lot worse, okay? So let's imagine that our hypothetical player won 3 tricks, and I won 2, and Ben won nothing. This is where the magic comes out with Bourré, because in winning the most tricks, this player will take the whole pot. But before that happens, you have to penalise every player in the round who chose to play the game but won no tricks. Because what happens now is all players then have to pay into the pot whatever was in it. Which means, let's say we've got 5 chips in the pot. Okay, and then Ben doesn't win any tricks and neither do I, okay? Then that means that our hypothetical player here is going to take 5 chips. But also, Ben and I are going to put in another 10. So it's very easy in Bourré for pots to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, the bigger the pots get, the more players want to play just to try and get all of that money. But the problem there is the more people are playing, the higher the chance you get of winning no tricks, which means the pot will be even bigger next time. Now, 2 points on this. First off, this is why games of Bourré sometimes end in actual fights. That's not a joke. There have been scandals online. It's a whole thing. But, and again, let's stress at some point in this video, do gamble responsibly. If you're not having fun when you're losing a gambling game, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. And Shut Up and Sit Down does not condone irresponsible gambling in any form.
Or fighting over games.
Or fighting. Well, actually, no. I think fighting over like a game is sometimes justified, but we can talk about that after the video.
We'll settle this outside.
Okay. Now, a very important thing in Bourré is because the pots can get absolutely wild, some people choose to play Bourré with a pot limit. Now, this will vary depending on your group and also how much every chip is worth. But the way it works is, for example, the pot limit is, I don't know, let's say it's £5. What that means is no one can ever be forced to pay in more than £5 to the pot or can take more than £5 out. So once the pot gets full, beyond a certain point, players can't lose or win too much money in one go. How much that pot limit should be is entirely up to you and your group. Finally, one variation on Bourré, if you want to try something a little bit different, is you can actually do players simultaneously deciding if they are in or out. So rather than going around the circle and players either passing or staying in for the round, you instead get players to hide a chip or not in their hand, and everybody goes 3, 2, 1, And players with a chip are in, and we'll put that chip back in their stack. Players without a chip will immediately fold. But it means that you can have nightmarish rounds where everyone's in and half the players don't win tricks. Everyone goes boo. It's awful. Players leave your house crying. What a world. That's Bourré, and my goodness, it is so ruddy electric that I almost felt annoyed when I first played it, because I was like, how does everyone talk about poker and nobody talks about this?
Like, as someone who plays quite a lot of poker, what's great is this carryover mechanic of pots. Because in poker, you're constantly looking and going, this hand is worth X amount of money based on statistical probability and things like that. Whereas in this, you go, well, it's not worth that much, but the fact I'm going in with I'm paying 1 to win potentially 20 or whatever, massively throws out any kind of statistical odds, and you're willing to take that extra
But
little
of course,
gamble.
if you want to win 20, you're also putting yourself in the position of maybe losing 20.
Exactly, and that's why it's so good. And you don't know exactly what a good hand looks like. Like in poker, you know that, I've got 2 aces, fantastic. In this, it could be anything.
There's so much risk involved. But one of the things I do really like about it is in poker, I've played games where I'm in for let's say I'm in and out for 10 hands, but I don't take any pots. I end up getting kind of annoyed. It's like, oh, come on, give me a win, give me a goon. In Bourré, you can have so much fun just not losing. It doesn't matter if you're hemorrhaging money by paying antes every round. So long as you never go boo and have to pay everything into the pot, you're filled with so much relief that you feel like you're still having fun and still getting away with something.
Or if you split the pot and you're like, I've just won 2 tricks. I was 1 trick away from winning everything. And now neither of us get anything.
That's actually why there are all these tricky rules for players must play the high card if possible. Because otherwise players can work to be well, rather than us both splitting the pot, I'll give this one to you, or making sure that I'll deliberately lose this trick so that player doesn't go boo. You need those restrictions in place so people can't play nice, and so everyone has to. Half the rules of Bourré is basically making sure that players can't collaborate.
Yeah.
Which you honestly need in a game as mean as this. But no, there's even more to like about it. There's the curious cyclical thing where being the dealer is so good because you have a trump in your hand out of the gate that when you are the dealer, you kind of want to go in even if the odds aren't great. Lots more stuff to discover, but frankly, I'll just let people at home discover that themselves. This has been a card game that doesn't suck, and my God, what a find! This feels like a real find in this series.
As you say, it feels like poker's, I don't know, early work. The album that no one ever discovered that is actually the real meat of it.
Exactly. So if you want to be as cool as us, then you can play Bourré. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been another card game that doesn't suck.
Grims, I really like the way you say the word boo.
Boo. I get self-conscious when I say it because I partially learned Bourré from a man from Mississippi who was talking about it. He's like, that's when you go boo, but he has this really rich Mississippi accent. When I say it, I feel more English and white than I have ever been or felt in my life.
Saying when you go boo makes it sound go boo.
Yeah. I think if this game takes off because it shut him down, the entire NBA will stop playing it immediately. That's my theory. We'll single-handedly make it less cool.
They'll go on YouTube and they'll see this and go,
who's this?
These
doofus, yeah. Thank you, everybody.